I returned home earlier than expected after nearly a year-long business trip. No one knew I was coming back today. I wanted to surprise Ethan, the husband I had missed every single day. As I drove through familiar streets, I imagined his reaction, the shock, the joy, when he opened the door and saw me standing there, home ahead of schedule. But the moment I turned onto my street, the picture in my mind shattered. Strange cars lined the driveway, and the front yard was decorated with pink and blue balloons. A massive banner stretched across the entrance, the words carefully printed, "Welcome, our little miracle." My heart sank. A strange, suffocating feeling crept through my chest. I pulled over a block away, parked the car, and stepped out, my legs moving almost on their own. The front door was slightly ajar, laughter and soft music spilling from inside. I stepped in, and my entire world collapsed in an instant. Under the warm glow of the living room lights, Riley, my best friend, stood there, her pregnancy now unmistakable. Beside her, Olivia, my mother-in-law, gently caressed her belly, while my father-in-law happily poured drinks for the guests. "Is the nursery ready?" someone asked. "Almost," Riley responded with a smile. "Ethan insisted on painting it himself. He's been working on it every weekend." At that moment, Ethan walked in from the kitchen, carrying a tray of drinks. He approached Riley from behind, wrapping his arms around her and placing both hands over her belly with a beaming smile. I froze. No one had noticed me yet, until Olivia turned and saw me. Her face drained of color, panic flashed across her eyes as she hurried toward me, lowering her voice in a desperate whisper. "Amelia, when did you get back? We need to talk." I yanked my arm from her grasp, my voice shaking, but loud enough for the entire room to hear. "Talk? Talk about what? About how my husband cheated on me while I was working overseas? Or about how everyone here knew and still threw this little party without telling me?" The air in the room grew heavy. Laughter died. Conversations stopped. The guests, people I once considered family, now only looked at me with awkward, guilty expressions. Riley was the first to turn toward me, her face ashen, her hands instinctively clutching her belly as if I was a threat. Ethan stood frozen, his hands still resting on her stomach, as if his brain hadn't caught up with reality yet. I searched his face for any trace of the man I once trusted, the man I had sacrificed so much for. All I saw was cowardice. "Amelia, I cut him off, my voice cold and sharp. "What exactly were you planning to say? That this isn't what it looks like? That there's some logical explanation for why my best friend is carrying your child while I was working myself to exhaustion to support this family?" No one spoke. Even my father-in-law, who had always taken Ethan's side, lowered his head, avoiding my gaze. Riley took a hesitant step forward, her voice trembling. "We never wanted you to find out this way." A hollow laugh escaped my lips, void of any real amusement. "Oh, really? So when were you planning to tell me? After the baby was born? Or when they were old enough to call me aunt?" Olivia, my mother-in-law, suddenly interjected, her voice laced with irritation. "Amelia, calm down. Think about Riley and the baby. She doesn't need this kind of stress right now." I turned to her, fury bubbling inside me. "Think about Riley, the same way all of you thought about me when I lost my baby 2 years ago, when I suffered alone, while every single one of you carried on like nothing happened." Silence. Ethan finally pulled his hands away from Riley and stepped toward me. "Can we talk privately? Let's not make a scene." I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms, as I locked eyes with the man I had once loved with every fiber of my being. "A scene," I scoffed. "No, Ethan. This became a scene the moment you decided to betray me." Ethan lowered his voice, trying to sound composed. "Amelia, please, you're being emotional. Let's handle this like adults." I let out a bitter chuckle. "Like adults? You slept with my best friend while I was breaking my back to support us, and now you want me to be mature about it?" I turned to Riley, who was staring at the floor like a child caught red-handed. "Did he tell you why I took that overseas job?" I asked, my voice eerily steady. "Did he tell you he was the one who convinced me to go? That he said we needed the money to build our future? Did he ever mention that I sacrificed my time, my health, and my marriage for him?" Riley swallowed hard, struggling to find words. But Olivia didn't hesitate. She shot up from her chair, her tone dripping with judgment. "You were always working, Amelia. Ethan had every reason to feel lonely. He was just searching for the happiness you failed to give him." I turned to her, feeling an uncontainable fury ignite in my chest. "You're right. I was too busy paying the mortgage, the electricity, the water, the groceries, everything, while your son sat back and enjoyed himself, screwing my best friend in the process." The room plunged into silence. A few guests awkwardly grabbed their bags, making their way toward the door. My father-in-law opened his mouth, as if to say something but thought better of it. And Ethan, rather than looking remorseful, strode forward and yanked the gift box from my hands. "That's enough, Amelia. You're making a fool of yourself." I stepped back, meeting his gaze with an icy stare. "I'm making a fool of myself." A bitter laugh escaped my lips. "No, Ethan. You did that all on your own the moment you decided to cheat on me for months. And the best part? Everyone here knew. Yet not a single person had the decency to tell me." Riley burst into tears. "We didn't want it to happen this way. We didn't mean to." I scoffed, shaking my head. "Didn't mean to? What? Did you just accidentally fall into bed with my husband?" I glanced around the room, my eyes scanning the familiar faces of people I once trusted, now nothing more than strangers. "You can all keep this house, these gifts, this pathetic excuse for a celebration. But Ethan," I locked eyes with him, "you will never see another dime from me." His brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" A smirk tugged at my lips. "I mean, I'll be meeting with my lawyer. I have documented proof of every dollar I spent on this house, on you, on us. I'm filing for divorce. And you? You won't get a damn thing." Ethan's face turned pale. Olivia's mouth fell open in shock. I turned away without another word, walking toward the door with steady steps. I refused to shed a single tear for these people. They would not see me break. As I stepped out of what was once my home, the cold night air stung my skin, but no chill could compare to the coldness of the people I had just left behind. My heart pounded, not with grief, but with resolve. I would not crumble. Back at the hotel, I locked the door, sank onto the bed, and took a deep, steadying breath. My phone buzzed relentlessly with calls and messages. Ethan, my in-laws, even Riley. "Amelia, we need to talk. Please don't do anything rash. You're being too emotional. We can handle this like adults." "It's not what you think. Please, just let me explain." I let out a hollow laugh and blocked Ethan's number without hesitation. I had heard enough. I knew exactly what had happened, and I had nothing left to say. The next morning, I arrived at my lawyer's office, and everything was already in place. I sat up straight, my voice unwavering. "I want to expedite the divorce process. No shared assets, no financial settlements. I have clear documentation of every expense I covered, and I want to ensure he doesn't get a single cent from me." My lawyer nodded. "You have all the necessary evidence to reject any claim he might make. The house is in your name. All the bills were paid by you. Ethan has no legal grounds to contest." A sense of relief slowly crept in. Finally, I was reclaiming control over my life. One afternoon, as I sat in a quiet cafe, savoring a much-needed cup of coffee, someone pulled out the chair across from me. Ethan. He looked awful. Dark circles under his eyes, unshaven, his once pristine appearance now disheveled. "Amelia, please, can't we talk?" I crossed my arms, meeting his eyes without flinching. "You have 2 minutes." He exhaled shakily, rubbing his hands together. "I know I messed up, but this can't be how it ends. We have too many memories, too much history. I've lost everything. Amelia, I truly love you." A humorless laugh escaped my lips. "You love me? While you were in bed with Riley? While your entire family covered for you? You loved me, yet you lived off my hard work and took everything I gave you for granted." Ethan lowered his head, his grip tightening around his coffee cup, but I remained unmoved. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and looked at him one last time. "If you truly loved me, you wouldn't have pushed me to this point." And with that, I walked out, leaving Ethan alone with the wreckage of his own making. I never looked back. There was nothing left to say, nothing left to mourn. He could sit there, drowning in his regrets, but it no longer had anything to do with me. Days passed, and everything unfolded just as I had anticipated. Without my financial support, Ethan struggled. Bills piled up, overdue mortgage payments loomed over him, and soon the house I had single-handedly kept afloat for years, was on the verge of foreclosure. Riley couldn't handle the downfall either. Without the comfort of a stable home and an easy life, her devotion to Ethan crumbled just as quickly as their so-called love. A mutual acquaintance casually mentioned to me one day that Riley had terminated the pregnancy, and to make matters even more poetic, she was now trying to demand financial support from Ethan. I couldn't stop the laugh that bubbled up inside me. He had betrayed me to have her, and now she was abandoning him when there was nothing left to gain. A perfect cycle of karma. One afternoon, as I stepped out of my lawyer's office after finalizing the last of my divorce paperwork, my phone buzzed with a message from an unlisted number. "Ethan, can we talk? Please, I have no one left." I stared at the message, feeling absolutely nothing. Once, I had loved this man. I had entrusted him with my future, believed that we were building a life together, but he had destroyed all of it. And now, as everything fell apart around him, he dared to ask me to save him. I typed out a simple reply: "No. Don't contact me again." Then I blocked his number. On the day Ethan was forced to leave my house, I was there. I wasn't the kind of person who found joy in watching others suffer. But for Ethan, I needed to see it with my own eyes. I needed to know that justice had been served. When I arrived, he stood in the front yard among scattered boxes, his face hollow with exhaustion and defeat. Riley was nowhere to be seen. She had left him long before, abandoning him to deal with the mess he had created. He turned toward me as I approached. "Amelia, please, can we talk?" I looked at him for a long moment, not with anger, not with hatred, just cold, detached indifference. "No." Ethan opened his mouth, desperate to say something, but I didn't give him the chance. I turned around and walked away, leaving him standing there, alone, discarded, ruined. Once, he had controlled my life, but now I was the one in control, and I would never look back. I left my old house with a weight lifted off my shoulders, a freedom I hadn't felt in years. No more burdens, no more deception, no one left to control or take advantage of me. I was finally free. Ethan was completely ruined. No home, no Riley, not a single cent to his name. From a few old acquaintances, I heard that he was struggling to survive, bouncing between odd jobs, unable to hold on to anything stable, because no one wanted to keep a man as irresponsible as him. Did I feel sorry for him? Number. I only felt that justice had been served. I moved into a new apartment, one that was solely mine, untouched by the memories of Ethan or the pain of the past. I rebuilt my life, focused on my career, and surrounded myself with people who truly cared about me. The last time I heard anything about Ethan, he had tried to appeal the divorce ruling, attempting to claim a portion of my assets. The judge dismissed his case immediately. I laughed when I received the news, then deleted the message without a second thought. I had won, not because I had gotten revenge, but because I had reclaimed myself. I was free. What an incredible journey of resilience. Amelia walked through the fire, only to emerge stronger than ever. She was betrayed, deceived, and taken advantage of. But she never let it break her. Instead, she transformed her pain into strength, reclaiming her life with an unshakable determination. How liberating it must be to finally break free from the chains of deception. Ethan thought he could destroy her, but in the end, she was the one who rose, while he was left drowning in the ruins of his own making. This story is not just about betrayal, it is about awakening. It is about realizing that no one has the power to destroy you unless you give it to them. We often love someone so deeply that we forget ourselves, sacrifice everything to hold on to a relationship that seems worth it. But in the end, when they drive the knife into our back, we finally understand. Love is never a reason to endure deceit. The greatest lesson here is this: never place your worth in the hands of another. Someone who truly loves you will never make you question your place in their life. Someone truly worthy will never force you to choose between love and self-respect. And when someone betrays you, do not beg, do not chase, stand up, walk away, and let them bear the weight of their own actions. The sweetest revenge is not their suffering. It is proving that they never had the power to break you, that you have risen from the ashes stronger than ever, without hatred, without regret, only absolute freedom. If you enjoy deep, emotional, and meaningful stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new update. Your support is the motivation that drives us to keep bringing you powerful stories. Once again, thank you for being here, and see you in the next story.